At NKID Group, our vision is to bring smiles to the faces of children in Vietnam, offering them a safe space to run, play, and explore. For more than 10 years, we have been operating 16 wood indoor playgrounds and 42 retail stores with online channels for kids and parents. Our goal is to be the top children's platform in Vietnam. And to do that, we wanted to fully recognize the benefits of cloud computing and automation opportunities. We chose to work with Renova Cloud, an AWS advanced consulting partner, to provide expertise as we embark on our journey to modernizing our technology stack.
The first step in NKID's cloud journey was to standardize operations across its digital platforms. We migrated non-critical workloads, such as NKID's website, to the AWS Cloud before going all in. The next step was to provide a consistent customer experience. Payment at Tiny World indoor playgrounds is mostly digital through the NKID mobile app or branded NFC cards. However, with the group on-premises system, crashes frequently occurred when traffic spiked, and this impacted digital transactions. We took this as an opportunity to automate using AWS Elastic Beanstalk to auto-scale NKID transaction application .NET workload on Windows. After migrating NKID's website and customer-facing assets to the cloud, we began modernizing the backend with databases due to an upgrade. We chose Amazon RDS for SQL Server to host NKID's database and AWS Lambda to execute serverless functions.
After migrating to the AWS Cloud, we have achieved greater automation and improved system resiliency, growing our number of play centers from 30 to 60 and retail outlets from 10 to 42. We have also reduced our operational costs by 30%. Most importantly, being on AWS also allows us to execute new ideas quickly, and marketing promotions can be executed 3 times faster. Our engineers have more time to focus on building features that bridge our online and offline experience. Our vision is always to have a robust system that can serve our customers in the best way possible. We are expanding fast, and being on the AWS Cloud has given us a lot more flexibility and scalability.
Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to SMEs Leverage Amazon Web Services Cloud for better decision-making and powerful digital transformation driver this morning, organized and hosted by Hong Kong Business Association Vietnam. Every time when we have a technology-based webinar, we always have a healthy crowd from the region, and today is no different. We have about 130 registrations today and hope that many of them are joining us online. As a token of appreciation, we have 4 complimentary tickets for the Virtual Business of IP Asia Forum on December 2nd to 3rd to give away. You have the opportunity to attend the Global Tech Summit participated by many technology innovators and industry disruptors who will share their insights on the latest technology trends and sharing of business cases. The lucky winners will be contacted and announced on the HKBAV social media platform later today. I am Winnie Lam, the General Secretary of Hong Kong Business Association Vietnam, and I'm the COO of Colliers International in Vietnam here. I'll take you through the program this morning, and I will moderate the panel discussion. I would like to start by thanking our sponsor, Renova Cloud, with a representative speaker, Mr. Doron Shafa, CEO, and our guest speakers, Mr. Vu Lu, Senior Partner Manager, and Mr. Olivier Klein, Chief Technologist, both from Amazon Web Services, and Mr. Khoa Do, CTO of NKID Corporation, will be joining us on the fireside chat and the panel discussion. It is our honor to be hosting you. Thank you. We have a total of 11 national and regional organizations co-hosting our event today, bringing a pretty wide audience. Allow me a minute to thank all of them. In the region, Hong Kong Australia Business Association Limited National, the Hong Kong Malaysian Business Association, and the Hong Kong Trade Development Council. And in Vietnam, we have AustCham, BRICHAM, CanCham, the Central and Eastern European Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam, the Council of Taiwanese Chamber of Commerce, the Indian Business Chamber, the Malaysian Business Chamber, and the Singapore Business Group. Thank you very much. Today's events consist of 3 short presentations, a fireside chat, and a panel discussion to follow where you can raise questions throughout the webinar. For good housekeeping, the hosts have muted all your microphones and disabled your video function to ensure focus. You can send your questions on the Q&A tab on your control bar. Please try not to put in the chat function or we may miss it. Our speakers also have a team who will help monitor the Q&A panel and try to get to as many questions as we can throughout the webinar. I encourage you to add your email address to the end of your question when submitting, so we can ensure getting back to you if we are unable to get to it during the event. If you encounter any technical issue during the webinar, you can try log out and log back in again. A video will be available to be shared, so we'll make sure that you miss nothing. I would like to point out that the views expressed in presentations made at today's webinar are those of the speakers and not necessarily of HKBAV nor the organizations the speakers are working for or with. Presentations at HKBAV events or the presence of sponsors at HKBAV events does not constitute an endorsement of the sponsors or the speaker's view, products, or services. If you would like to quote any content from today's webinar, please contact the speaker or HKBAV to seek proper consent. Let me quickly get us started. Today, we have Mr. Vu Lu, Senior Partner Manager of Amazon Web Services, who will kick off our presentations. Mr. Vu Lu is an early cloud evangelist in Vietnam with more than 15 years of experience in the IT and cloud industry, having worked or working for leading companies such as IBM, Microsoft, and now Amazon Web Services. He's also a keynote speaker in the IT Governance Committee who supports the IT application to both work and life affairs. He is a member of the Evaluation Committee of Ho Chi Minh City Startup and Innovation Projects, a consultant, and a big supporter for helping business overcome difficulties when applying technology and following the global development trends. Besides, he organized various workshops and forums for entrepreneurs to gain more knowledge and sharing experience about IT challenges and approaches. We are very lucky to have Mr. Vu Lu today. So I'm turning over the control to Vu. Are you ready?
Thank you, Ms. Winnie. Good morning, everyone. Let me share my screen in the presentation before we start. One, please. So I hope, are you seeing wow, my screen?
We see your screen okay, Vu.
Great, thanks, Ms. Winnie. So again, good morning, great day to everyone of us here today. I am Vu Lu, as introduced. I'm Senior Partner Development Managers for Amazon Web Services Vietnam. Really my pleasure today to be invited to meet with you, to connect with you this morning. Of course, my huge thank to you, HKBAV and Renova team, and all of you, for having me today. So let's start. Okay, so I would recall the time before the COVID, and you may agree with me that we already, start seeing more and more such kind of demands and trends before the COVID. But clearly that the global pandemic has been boosting it for a lot more and more. Let me open, yeah. And I believe that when we say we are digitally determined, and you can see that from the research, a lot of SMB, including the SMB in the North America, you can see that the SMB who have strategic digital transformation initiatives integrated into operations and customer experiences to create a new business, products and services are nearly 2 times more likely as report double-digit growth. And you see 3 areas here we can see on the screen. The first one is, 62 consumers expect the companies like you and us to adapt, based on their actions, their behaviors. The next one is today, the customer wants us to understand their needs and expectations, and that is about 76%. This number can be different in Vietnam or ASEAN region, but you can see it relevant and is a quite high number, high percentage. The last one, but also we can see trend that now more like 88% companies are now prioritize the customer experience in the contact center. Is I think interesting point here. Okay, so you should think like, how your customer priorities and the goal aligns with your focuses and the business. Okay. That with that, I would move to some certain kind of next question. Sorry. If we leave something behind, like, and then should the business risk we have here. So you can see the list of number of potential risks that can be, how to say, common to us. So here I want to highlight the point here as security. So we know that now security is one of the we call it job zero all the time. Typically SMB customer like you and or your customers, you may have only the few resource like dedicated to the managing security and keep up with the patches and updated and monitor on the things together. Of course, a lot of things are out that like protocol and only the system alone. So what is the level of the expertise and the bandwidth to keep the infrastructure secure and protected to the newest threats and protocol? Okay. You can see the COVID, for example, is unplanned natural disaster and or anything similar that extend to consequence above the result of legacy technology on-site, on-premise IT infrastructure. You can see more interactions, from the peers, from your peers, from competitors. Of course, with the legacy system, you have a greater and greater administrative burden and how to manage, how to deal with the existing system, and of course, the cash flow should be the issue. So how we are seeing or how we observe, the SMB organizations, how have you been transforming with technology? So you can, we would define here like the stages, of, in the time you or the SMB customer adopt the cloud. You can see here we can define, four stages. The first one, maybe the before the stage 1, we can say the stage 0 is meaning that no usage or anything building not using on AWS or any cloud, right? And then of course they are not AWS customer or not cloud customer. Then you can see the customer with the stage 1, where mostly we can see the enterprises, they are just dipping their toes in the water, to find out, what the cloud has to offer them. Just testing the water, just trying. And AWS is evaluated and vetted on the project by projects base, and then to sort specific needs, on a one-off basis. So you can see very little one of the needs. And then we can see the customer here, you can see the Starling Bank, for example. They try to build a certain kind of foundation. They has begun to see benefits of the cloud and make some foundational investment so they can begin scaling their adoption. This includes the creation of a cloud center of excellence. For example, development of hybrid architectures, reference architectures, identify management process, standardize cost and access management process. Another investment like a little bit, technical term like VPC, Direct Connect, and AWS skills training. So we start seeing more and more such kind of stages in Vietnam, okay, and the region around. But you can see the value of the investment or the trying to be increasing higher and higher with the stage 3 and 4. For example, you can see Luan Logic, right? This customer, by migrating all in to AWS Cloud, Luan Logic's products and development teams have more time to focus on delivering value to their customer. And you can see the very ideal stage. You can see the number 4. We have a maximum such kind of maximize value. You can see Snapdogs. By standardizing on AWS and for its cloud computing and machine learning platform, Snapdogs have been able to automate error detection and greatly reduce expense and inconvenience such errors can cause. And results, the real estate closing, before like 1-2 hours and now just 15 minutes. So we have a lot of such kind of use cases, success stories that you can see later on in my presentation with Vietnamese customer case as well. So I encourage you to contact us, contact our partners, and also you can do research by yourself. You can find out a lot of use case. And I want to say that we have a different, and you have different needs and stage you are in. Not every one of us, are the same in situation. So we work with you along where you are in the stage of cloud adopting, or you can use technology to transform. Okay, so the next slide you can see here, interesting things, why customer choose cloud or AWS. We can see a couple things here where the customer are focusing on. Before I go for the case studies or use case like Empiric or Merchandise or Echelon. So you can see that most people, when the leading reason to the cloud, they will tell you or tell us like cost saving, but there can be more significant impact, right? For example, staff spending too much time to provision servers, maintain the environment where you have your staff spend time. If they weren't managing infrastructure, they can move up, they can do more valuable works for you. And operation to reduce unplanned outages, keeping your application workloads running. And we can discuss on also what architected framework for the best practices and have a different level of support. Of course, the important thing today is agility and productivity. So business agility allow you to move faster and scale out as needed. So you can see many of reason can resonate you. So normally we work with customer to focus what really your key reason. Of course, not all reason may be relevant to you, but you can see many cases here. Now we move to one, some of the cases we have. You can many of us.
Sorry, Mr. Vulu, just want to let you know that you're starting to overrun, and depending on the number of slides, so you may want to speed up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Winnie, Miss Winnie. So I need to move on a little bit faster. Sorry for the time limited, but you can see very exciting thing. So just quick one here. You can see Empiric is just kind of the joint ventures in the fintech between the MB Bank in Vietnam and the Shinsei Bank from Japan. You can see the result. We focus on the result from you. You can see they can reduce the time, to markets for the application services from 4 months to 3 weeks. So many values and benefits here you can read through, or I'm happy with the team and partner to walk you through in each case, if relevant to your situation. Majority is also Vietnamese customer working, exporting to US and North America, Europe as well. So many cases, Echelon is a fitness company across the world. So many excited example. So the next one, I believe that some of you have seen this one, but a quick one on this. The reason, how we can be, AWS is the reason for you, as with more than 15 years of experiences. We have the global reach, so you can, start and expand your services. In many places in the world, we have 81 regions now. 81 availability zones spanning 25 launch regions, and many security features like 203 and more, many services. So and important here for you UK baby interested in the price reductions. Till beginning to now, we have 107 times the price reduction. Move on. We don't focus on products or services, but we focus on the solution. What you are interested in, what you need, and then we address along with our partner. So important for you, like I don't go through on the areas, but you can see like time to market or expansion is one of the key reasons. You may focus on reduce IT costs and scale resource and drive collaboration. Or the last one, but now very in the top of priority is how to differentiate and create engaging customer experiences. For example, how we can do it, we do it with you and our partner by increasing insights and business intelligence. You heard about chatbot, personalized, interactive application. So just share with us, connect with us to share, and then we can address specifically with your needs, not necessary to go on 3 or 4 such kind of scenario, but you may go it step by step. Okay, we have such kind of proven framework to accelerate your and customers' cloud transformation along with our partner. Quickly, you can see there, we have the program and the framework from the methodology up to through the AWS and partner tools. We have a tool to access to deploy, to manage your system, to help you to do it easily. Of course, the partner today like Renova and further partner is a very critical, very important for us and for you. Managed services can help you to have a peace of mind and focus on your application and value focus to your customer. One of the things very important for us, you can see later on in the slide, is AWS training, directly from AWS, or you can through our partner, or you can do with many training partners around the world. Of course, we invest in working with you to accelerate, your projects to help you easier way to adopt the cloud. Okay, you can see here the framework on the areas we can help a customer. How can you migrate and build faster in the cloud? You can see like here about 6 areas. So we invest in industry experts at AWS. Our employees, our experts inside. We have a managed services, certification I mentioned before. We have important for me also and for our team here is APN partner like Renova, Cloud, and further local and international partner. And we have a support. We have the on-demand help from AWS certified third-party expert like industry, expert SME, for example. Okay, for the security, that for us and for many of you, the security in the cloud or anywhere should be job zero. So we have a number of areas where we help you, and we are ready and we are certified by global, security and compliance control, and how to help you scale but securely. So many things of us, can share and to learn from there along with you, a customer, and also a partner. This one is interesting initiative. I share with you that we are running with our partners to build up such kind of blueprints and to help our partner to provide to you the services, the common, the very good use cases. Can you see here, workplace, the e-commerce, data analytics, security, and other things in easy way, a faster way to you. So sorry for the short presentation, but important for us, I would have the 3 points of the takeaway and next step. Just share, just scope out your use case, need, priority, and we can work with you from business requirement to technical requirements. We can start with POC and similar way how to help you to nurture the journey along. And of course, you select your supporting resource, what you want, including the partners or programs we have. And the last one, but very important for us, I think, and for you, is the executive alignments on the engagement, your commitment, and of course, we are committed to supporting you. So with that, I would end or finish my presentation. My apology for the shortage of the time. So happy to have questions later on. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Vulu. I can hear the passion, and I know that it's so difficult to try to talk about something that big in just a few minutes. But I think Olivier is going to take us into an even bigger space. Olivier's expertise in IT architectures, internet technologies, and software engineering paved the 2 decades for him helping businesses make the most out of technologies such as cloud computing to solve business struggles and adapt to a data-driven business models. Olivier has been working for Amazon Web Services across Asia Pacific and Europe to help customers implement architectural best practices and be successful in their digital transformation journey. In addition, he advises how emerging technologies in the artificial intelligence, ML, robotics, and Internet of Things space can help create new products, make existing processes more efficient, and leverage new engagement channels for end consumers. I'm going to hand over the control to Olivier, and hopefully he will not be overrunning by too much. Otherwise, we'll be eating into a Q&A session. Over to you, Olivier.
Absolutely. Thanks, Vinny. And everything goes well. You see my screen now, and I will try to stick on time. I will definitely do that.
Yes, we see your screen.
Perfect. So what I want to talk a little bit, and Vu kind of talked about this already around the digital transformation. I wanted to go a little bit deeper one step here to kind of look at, obviously cloud computing is part of the mix. That is why we're all here today. But I also want to look at, what is often referred to as a modern application design. As part of your digital transformation journey, you probably look into how do I become more digital native? And that obviously requires your technology, your architectures to kind of change. But before going into that into more detail, I kind of want to look at it from a perspective of why are we actually doing this? Why are we digitally transforming? Why isn't the old stuff all good? Well, it's very much around driving innovation. And the way I would look at it is, if you want to drive innovation, we want to have the ability to quickly experiment with new functionalities, quickly experiment with new ways of driving a service, of building a platform, of talking to your customer. And based on that, collect feedback and ideas that then again, you feed back into those experiments. The more experiments you can run, the more innovation you can drive. Actually, the CEO of now Amazon, previously AWS, Andy Jassy, always like to say, innovation requires 2 things, the ability to try a lot of experiments and not having to live with the collateral damage of failed experiments. And I think that is the key point here. If I can actually reduce the cost and time of running experiments quickly and often, I can actually drive innovation. And you see that if you think a bit about, across all industry, there's a lot of disruption that has happened. Not too long ago, you would have asked a few hotel chains who would be the biggest hospitality provider, and it wouldn't have been Airbnb. Airbnb is now the largest hospitality provider out there. Uber in the space of transportation. Especially with the ongoing pandemic, a lot of us has probably streamed, online videos, Netflix being a great provider there for entertainment. The retail space, obviously Amazon also, but I wanted to pick another one like Zalora or Slack in messaging, or in the financial service industry, where Robinhood now allows you to do commission-free stock trading, right? And I show you this because I think these companies, or some of them startups, or some of them a little bit of longer companies like Netflix, for example, have really been disruptive in a lot of these industries. And why is that? Because they basically delivered services to their end customers that really focuses on their experiences. And in addition to that, also use cloud computing. Specifically, they use cloud computing so that they can focus on what's core to their business and leave the heavy lifting of managing, maintaining data centers and other things to their cloud computing provider. Having said that, I think one important thing, very often if we think about cloud computing and you get started, you might think about, virtual servers or some databases that are available for you. And those are all core services that AWS and other cloud providers provide. But I think the key point here is that you get access to new capabilities that meet your needs. You need some access to a great AI or machine learning model, and you need access to some big data capabilities or some high performance computing or some agile data analytics. If you use AWS, you get new functionalities every single day that allow you to focus on what's core to your business, which means not managing expensive data centers or building these services, but rather focus on what's core to your business and then use all these services that we have so that you can run these experiments faster. And again, obviously also with cloud computing, you only pay for what you use. So that also allows us to maybe take a new service, take a new AI capability or whatever, try something out, see if it works for my customers. If it works, great, expand it out. If it doesn't work, well, it cost me, either way, it was part of our free tier, or it cost me a fraction of what it would have cost me otherwise in the more traditional model. The other reason, though, why we actually got to change is also that the requirements of actually running platforms for our end users have fundamentally changed. Just a few decades ago, you build an IT system and you have 10,000 users, then that would be a big system, right? Nowadays, we need to be able to scale for millions of users, tera or petabytes of data volume. We probably want to go global with a click of a button. If we have a good product, we shouldn't just focus on Vietnam or Southeast Asia, we should focus on the world, right? And we obviously got to have good performance. We got to have access to that platform where customers or end users now expect that to happen sometimes to be milliseconds or microseconds, right? And be able to access it with all the devices, no matter if it's my mobile phone or my desktop, and connected to different kind of other platforms out there. So the requirements of how we build applications or platforms have fundamentally changed. And that's why we also want to change on how we specifically build them, of course, on top of a cloud computing platform, but also how we design it. Which brings me to a point of, well, why are we actually doing this? Because even though I'm a technologist, I love technology, and I would probably just use technology for the sake of technology. I think primarily we should always drive business outcomes. And I would probably look at digital transformation and modern application design in terms of 5 major pillars. The first one, and kind of Vu addressed it a bit earlier, around customer satisfaction. How can we improve my customer experience? Take something like personalization. If I open up my Netflix or my Spotify, what have you, I expect that I get specific results or recommendations for movies or music I like to listen to, specifically tailored to my needs. Not too long ago, that was something that was desirable. Now, any kind of platform that you use, you expect it to be personalized for you. You expect it to be scalable. You expect it to be responsive and always available for you. So that's kind of why we want to build on cloud computing. The other thing, and I kind of hinted at that, the faster we can experiment, the easier we can bring new innovation to the market. And overall, that reduces the time to market for whatever product we're using. We see that both in terms of making our workforce more productive through things like automation, also, and we've seen that with the ongoing pandemic, to be able to maybe even work remotely. But overall, also through automation, drive faster business agility and speed, and of course, reduce the cost of that experimentation. Who earlier highlighted also the fact that security is always job zero. As part of going to cloud computing and digitally transforming, I'd argue that you actually mitigate business risk. You can harden your security posture. The way you do security on the cloud is that you preemptively can deny any kind of action in your environment that might not comply with your compliance, which is a constant continuous compliance model, which you did not have in a traditional data center model, let alone with our designs of availability zones and giving you the flexibility of running in multiple clusters of data centers at the same time, actively improving the resiliency and availability of your application. And then the obvious one, I think that is very often talked about, how can I actually have cost savings, right? Very often people look towards cloud computing so I can have bottom line savings to things like waste reduction, automation, and we hear a little bit more about that in the panel later and from some of the other speakers. And then of course I can take those cost savings and say, well, I reinvest that into my experimentations that I run, and that obviously can drive top line growth. And you can see that a lot of our customers on the AWS platform, and we got millions of active customers across the world. So these are just a few examples, really go through that digital transformation, and it dramatically reduces their cost and improves their agility. Take, for example, the development bank in Singapore, DBS. They moved the entire compute grid for their trading and risk platform to serverless. We're going to hear more about that later. Reduced 80% of the infrastructure costs. That's transformational. If you use a Samsung device, they recently moved 1.1 billion users from their legacy Oracle databases to more open source, fully managed, scalable databases on AWS. Dramatically reduced the database cost by up to 44%. But it's also speed. Take McDonald's, when they launched home delivery in a variety of new countries. In less than 4 months, they had an application that scales all the way up to their users. Or take a large consumer bank such as Capital One. They now launch new features in weeks rather than months previously, because they reduced the time of deploying these new applications, which is that experimentation that I'm talking about, by 99%. That's transformational, right? That really allows me, if I design correctly on a cloud computing environment, I can be really fast and cost effective. But when I say if I design it correctly, what do I mean with that? Well, we got to go away from that, let's say, traditional way of running your application to a more modern way. So how do I maybe break out my application to more microservices? How do I use the right kind of database? How do I automate my software delivery? How do I use fully managed operations, and obviously use AWS potentially to do that? And how do I move from a security model where I'm doing central gatekeeping to allowing you to actually experiment safely using guardrails? And earlier, Vu talked about migration acceleration program. I always say, ideally we can refactor everything you have to the latest and greatest technology, but that doesn't always make sense. So very often you might decide, I just want to re-platform some of the databases. Maybe I repurchase some SaaS models. Maybe some of it I rehost, I retain, I retire. So we do have flexibility on gradually moving to that more modern application where your architecture does change to more modular services, where your data management allows you to be decoupled and purpose-built. And I think we hear a little bit more from Renova Cloud in their presentation about that, but also change that software delivery and operational model to be automated, fully managed, and like I said, have programmatic guardrails around it. And to put that into perspective, let me give you the following number. Over 150 million, what could that be? Well, over 150 million is the amount of code deployments that we have in a year in the overall Amazon company. That means, in average, we have 4.5 deployments per second. That's every 0.21 seconds we have a deployment. So there are already hundreds of deployments that happened just since I started this presentation. And now you might understand when I say experimentation drives innovation. The more often I can frequently deploy, the more often I can get feedback to new feature functionalities, and I can shape them around to really focus on that customer experience. Some of them might be good, some of them might be failed experiments, but then I learn from it and can improve. Now, the big question here is, how do we get to that number? How can we deploy, every second so many deployments? Well, the key point here is by decomposing your applications and your software for agility. We did that back in 2001 when Amazon.com was a big monolithic, large application with one big database. And we decided in 2002 to break it up into what would now be called microservices. Back then, we just said service-oriented architecture. So we break into smaller cross-functional teams that all own their little piece of software that they deploy, and then build an API around it. And the teams should be not too large. Otherwise, there's too much noise around it. And we called it the two pizza team strategy. So a team that doesn't outgrow to a point where two pizzas would leave people hungry. That was kind of the idea. But what it means now is, and if you heard of microservices, nowadays, this is often referred to as microservices. You can now have independent teams that all individually kind of build their own service and can, use their own data stores or their own methodologies, quickly deploy their own microservice without talking to all the other teams and collaborating around it. How do I do that? Well, I basically negotiate contracts between those microservices, which is the APIs, which is very often an architecture like what you see on my screen right now here. The APIs become the front door to all of these microservices. And if you digitally transform, you probably want to adopt such a strategy because it allows you to quickly experiment, on the smaller services. Now, a lot of my customers say that's great, but I don't just want to go into a full microservice strategy. That's really hard for me to transform my entire company because it's not just technology, it's also people, it's a whole strategy and how we do that. Well, the good news is you can do that step by step. You might have heard of something called the strangler pattern, which actually comes from the strangler fig tree, which is that picture that you see on top, which is kind of a tree, a fig tree that grows around an existing tree, so much that it overall encompasses the tree to a point where the tree inside dies off. And you can see where that pattern nomination comes from. You can do the same with your company, right? You say, okay, I want to move to cloud computing. I want to move to microservices. You can take your existing landscape and say, I break out pieces that I want to optimize to run faster, step by step, slowly optimize them and keep my existing landscape and only start optimizing or modernizing, I should say, the pieces step by step that I feel comfortable with, where I get the most benefits of running them in a more modern way. And then as you grow that out, eventually, you modernize everything and your old kind of architecture dies off. And by the way, these are also kind of the 4 laws that say overall in Amazon and how we operate overall our development teams and our DevOps functionalities. So you break things down into smaller teams, and we do that generally based on scale and customer experiences, and not necessarily functionality, which allows those smaller cross-functional teams to be run like an autonomous business. They understand their customers for their specific service. And most importantly, you want to automate everything. In cloud computing and with AWS, you can do that. We do that within Amazon. If you commit a piece of code to a branch, it automatically gets rolled out or roll back in, which allows those teams to really focus and manage on the things that matter to what is important for their business. And here's my last slide before handing back over, which I would leave as a note to all of the listeners here. You want to focus your efforts on what is core to your business. You want to focus on creating what's value to your business. What you don't want to do is, all the heavy lifting to make that work. That might be build physical infrastructure and data centers and, develop databases and storage and compute. Let AWS or your cloud computing provider handle that, so that you can focus on what's core to my business logic and invest my resources in there. So with that, I hand it back to Winnie for now before coming back for the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olivier. It's just like, I wish that you could see my jaw drop on the 4.5 deployment per second. That was more than impressive. It's just like something beyond imagination. The world was really going fast. As an operator who is going through the digital transformation journey with our company, well, we definitely are not seeing the scale of things as much as you are helping us to see what's going on. Great. We'll talk a little bit more during the panel discussion. Without further delay, I'm bringing up Doron, who is the CEO of Renova Cloud and AWS consulting partner with a highly integrated team of skilled engineers and architects providing services towards the transition of the legacy workloads to frontline technologies in cloud, DevOps, and automation. Doron has 15 years plus experience in Vietnam's local telecom, banking, and IT sectors, and earned a chemical engineering degree from Shanghai University in Israel and an MBA from Boston University in the US. In addition to being an active volunteer for human rights and equality government in Israel, he's also a passionate runner, swimmer, and a fan of rock music history. Well, maybe you'll leave us a couple minutes to talk about that, Doron. And over to you for the next session. Are you with me, Doron?
Yes, I am.
Yes, we see your slides, but we don't see your face, but that is your preference if you want to stay that way.
In 1 second, you all see my face. Okay. Now, how can I?
There you go. Welcome,
Yes.
Doron.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. My name is Doron. I'm the CEO of Renova Cloud, and today I'll take this opportunity to talk about why business need data to make a better decision. And I would like to start with the first outcome that I would like to get of this session is, first of all, to understand the common data challenge being experienced by organization. And the second is to understand why cloud enabling the acceleration and organization to achieving data democratization and data insight. So as far as connectivity start to be huge, endless data point created in your organization, and it's really everywhere. Data is growing exponentially and coming from new sources and increasingly diverse, and need to be security access and analysis by any number of applications and people in shorter and shorter period of time. So as we see, the size, complexity and various sources of the data means the same technology and approaches that work in the past don't work anymore. What business are looking for improving today? So business are looking on different kind of pillars. So each kind of business, whatever it's a SMB or large enterprise, they would like to improve operation, marketing optimization, improve dramatically their customer experience, and of course, improve their application development. Every business has its own journey and its a unique journey. And the way to complete it depend on the desired outcome, the strategic objective of each business, and the resources and the skills that are available inside your organization. However, we're going to talk now on about certainly some core principle that apply to any business. So the main organization challenges today, amount of data is accumulated, customers store in different silos, making it much more difficult to perform analytics. To make it easier, customers and organization need their data in a single repository and a data lake. So security, of course, each one of us, each kind of organization, we would like to keep our security of the data and of course to the privacy of our customer, data governance and data scalability as well. Our business is scaling in different aspects and is bringing challenges to our operation. Companies want more value from the data, and this is a key issue. We live in an area that now and decision must be in real time. This is the issue, and here is come the cloud and the agility that it's provided us. We cannot wait an hour, day, or week to get our insight. We need our intelligent, infused organization and to make decision in real time with our own data. So it's becoming complicated, and working with silos can't work anymore. It's too expensive and limited to store data on premise. A new approach is need to extract the data value and the insight of the data. And the new approach, of course, is the cloud. Why the cloud is a game changer for data? We can migrate much faster our data and free up our resources. We can adapt modern application development practice, gain faster insight, and of course, organize for agility of all our resources. One more issue that has been mentioned by Vu and Oliver is the security. By putting your data over the cloud, you get a standard security and compliance for your industry. So AWS today, for example, and many others today can comply any kind of security that is relevant to your specific industry. Let's take a look at this slide. This slide is a little bit, can be overwhelming to part of you, but what we see here is actually the scheme of a data lake. Data lake is the future for any organization. On data lake is the cloud are becoming the mainstream today for any kind of organization. It can be SMB, it can be an enterprise or a huge bank. It can be scaling very, very fast, and it can be, and you allocate a set of storage in one place over a virtual server. A data lake can store raw and process data in any format to be transformed to a later data and application. Around the data lake, there are different kinds of services and hundreds of services that AWS provide, coming from a data warehouse, big data processing, supporting rational data or non-rational data, and coming back to edge technology as machine learning and AI. On the right side of the slide, you can see different kind of source of data source. It can be from your mobile, it can be from your video, images, CRM, ERP, and any kind of data, all coming and stored securely inside the data lake and can be accessed in a very fast way. Let's take a look at the process, and I love this slide when we are coming to explain what is data lake to a customer, because it's illustrate in a very well way the process of how you take a raw data that you are getting from different kind of resources and bring it to a real dashboard. So in this slide, you can see that at the first step, we are putting our all information and data and raw data in Amazon S3, which is a storage. And then we build the foundation of the data lake, and we call it AWS Lake Formation with a service called AWS Glue. And I will not get into much detail into AWS Glue, but AWS Glue is allow you to index your data, to find the scheme and runtime metrics on your data. It uses the information in the data catalog to create and monitor your all transformation and extract of the data. Going to a step 4, you're moving directly to the data warehouse, and it can be on Amazon Redshift using a very famous service from Amazon called Amazon Athena. And Amazon Athena is the interactive query service that make it easy to analyze this data directly in Amazon S3 in a simple storage service, and it's using standard SQL. Getting to the last and the most important for you is to getting a dashboard and understand your data. And this is the key. And here, Amazon have a service called QuickSight that let it easily to create and publish interactive BI dashboard, as well as receive answer in seconds through natural language queries. All of this process provide you the visibility and to get your BI in a project that can take that can start in a very, very low scale and can expand to a huge scale as you scale up your business. So as a very quick in this short session, I would like to connect the dots between the cloud and data. And I would like to give back the leading of this session to Winnie. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doron. And with that, we are going into the fireside chat. There's nothing more to learn about this when there is a real life example. Mr. Vulu of AWS will speak with Mr. Kwar of NKIDS to talk about staying relevant now and future-proof the business with cloud. Kwar currently holds a position as Group CTO at NKID Corp. There he oversees the technology department and is responsible for the technology infrastructure, product development, R&D, and innovations. Before joining NKID Corp in 2014, Kwar was the co-founder and CTO at Mobile Solution and Services, a company focused on mobile technology and services, obviously. Kwar's background is software engineering and mobile technology. He studied computer sciences at the University of Applied Science in Cologne, Germany. So I am turning over the control to Vu and Kwar. You have about 10 minutes before we would want to start Q&A panel discussion. So take away.
Thank you, Ms. Winnie. Welcome and thank you, Mr. Kwar, for your time with us today, your interest working together, and also your will to share to the audience today. Before we start with some questions, would you share something, about your feeling or what you think was happening on today, with us? Thank you, Mr. Kwar. I think you're on mute.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Hope you can hear me well. So, yeah, thank you for having me today at the webinar. I am happy to share with the audience the story of NKID, how NKID got to the cloud. But first, let me give you some context into our business, what NKID is and who we are. So NKID was founded in 2009, and we are the leading kids lifestyle platform in Vietnam. So our operation is across the spectrum of attractions, retail, and distribution. At NKID, we have 4 business divisions. The first one is attractions, where we have Tiny World and Tiny Park. So Tiny World is the kids' playground centers for kids between 2 and 12, and Tiny Park is for older kids from 12 to 18. And then we have our retail division. So this is our Tiny Store, physical store, where we are not only selling stores, but all kind of kids merchandising, accessories, as well as stationery. Yeah, and then our third business streams is distribution, where we have our own branded toys. It's called Tiny Toy. Yes, and yeah, the last business division is it's our media division. It's Tiny TV. So we have a channel for kids content on YouTube. Yeah, so I want to share a little bit about the key milestones of NKID during the 12 years journey. So as mentioned before, NKID was founded in 2009. In 2014, we joined the IAPA. So this is the International Association for Amusement Parks and Attractions. 2016 was a very yes, very special year for us. So we got invested by Standard Chartered Private Equity. 2017, we partnered with Disney for their content and brands. In 2018, we opened our first Tiny Store across, first in Ho Chi Minh and then across Vietnam. 2019 was also a big year for us, so we partnered with Hasbro for their content and brands as well. Across Vietnam, we have, as of now, we have 42 Tiny Store, 55 Tiny World, more than 12 million visitors or customers per year coming to our locations. Our customers are mostly parents from 25 to 40 years old, kids from baby age to 40 years old, and then the income class of our customers are across A, B, C income class. Yes, we have a very strong ecosystem. First is the Tiny World playground centers, and then we have Tiny Store, and then we have Tiny TV and our Tiny Toy brand, as well as Tiny Park for more older kids. So through the Tiny ecosystem, we are connecting to to everyday kids' everyday activities. We also have our own membership program and CRM system, growing very fast, month by month, 5% per month. The Tiny application, it's a mobile app for Android and iOS devices. It's a convenient tool for parents to manage their kids' activities inside the centers, as well as purchase history in our e-commerce platform. They can also book birthday on the app, and they can purchase entrance tickets in advance, so they don't have to queue in a long waiting line when they come to the centers. And here are some of the pictures of the store activities I want to share with the audience. Inside our playground centers, we have physical activities. We have intellectual activities like chess games. We have art corners where kids can paint, can do different activities as well. And we have a team building session for kids, for example, soccer, basketball, dancing. Yeah, that's all. So that's all what I want to share about NKID. So now, yeah, I'm ready to talk more about our journey with Vu, and happy to share with the audience.
Thank you, Mr. Khoa. Exciting with your quick introduction and sharing to the audience. Thank you for your collaboration so far with not only AWS but mostly our partner Renova Cloud, and happy to see your journey. I would have a quick question. Of course, Doron, happy to have you, on me and ask Mr. Khoa as well, if you wish. So the first one, the journey today, you have achieved a lot of results. You are bringing a lot of services, the excitement, the happiness to the kids, wonderful kids, and also their families. So we are happy to have such service and a company like you, in the market and to bring us really the happiness. So the first question to you, Mr. Khoa, and when you look back to recall back to 3 years ago, right? What was the situation where NKID was, how with the clouds, you were thinking about? Just share with us about that. Thank you.
Sure. So 3 years ago, or even before that, we have a very heavy and big system. Everything it's packaged in as a one big component, right? We were thinking of going to the cloud already before that, but with our legacy system, we couldn't just move our big clunky system into the cloud. That wouldn't be beneficial for us and for the customer as well. So what we did is we took it step by step. So we have to redesign, re-architect, and as well as re-platform our system into smaller components or microservices, as Oliver mentioned before. So we did exactly those kind of phases first. So first is to redesigning and make our system more agile and as a smaller component that works together in a big in a big system, right? Yeah, so we have to do that before we are thinking of going to the cloud.
Yes, thank for that. And then the follow-up questions. What were your main challenges you had faced, that time, and of course the time after, along the way?
I think the challenges or bottleneck we face at that time is because everything is based on one big software package. So because at that time we have a lot of openings of new centers opening, new stores opening, and the preparation time and setup time for each location and each POS corners takes a lot of time to set up, right? And we have to plan for hardware and purchase hardware for the centers, and then train our people to set up the system at the centers, and testing takes a lot of time. So yeah, and that's not very optimal for if we want to open a lot of location in a month. So that wouldn't be feasible and wouldn't be very productive. So yeah, so that's what our thinking of moving to the cloud could help us, in terms of setup time for the new locations.
Yeah. So actually, you mentioned about provisioning. What also I mentioned before, in one of the challenge the SMB and the customers may have, and your productivity of your staff, and also the time to market linked to that. Is it correct?
Exactly. Yeah, correct.
Okay. So then, can you describe or share with us more how cloud migration help you with the scale up and how improve with your customer experience?
Sure. So once we are on the cloud, so the setup time for for openings new centers is shrink from I would say from 2 days to about several hours. So 2 hours, 4 hours mostly. So because everything is in the cloud, we just plug in our POS clients and POS hardware, and then we are ready to go. So because everything is controlled and managed through a centralized system on the cloud, so we were able to be ready in a short time. The experience for the customer here is, I think, because we did a lot of digitalization in terms of process for the customer. So before we were on the cloud, so if customer wants to register for a membership, they have to go to a paper form, and that's very it's very tedious and time consuming for the customers, as well as for the for our staff at the centers, at the stores. So now that we are on the cloud, we can introduce a better process, a better workflow, a better sign-up workflow, a better function for the customers to book birthday party at our location, as well as to buy tickets in advance, and even so they can open the app and they can search for for immediate information about the centers, nearby centers, as well as what's inside the centers, because we have different class of playgrounds, so they can see, okay, if the location has trampoline parks or have different areas where their kids wants to play, so they just open the app, they go to the location, and then they book the tickets, and then they come to the centers and we send them in. Very quick process. So I think that's the biggest improvement of customer experience we can think of so far. Yeah, but beside that, we improve a lot of other processes were inside our centers when they come into the centers, as well as prior visit to the centers.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. I think in terms of time, we may finish the session now. We move to the Q&A. I believe that many questions I want to put maybe further to be, appearing at the Q&A. Thank you, Mr. Kwa and Doron and the team.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Vu. Thank you, Kwar. I don't think it's about finishing the chat. It's about expanding the chat to include more opinions. I can't wait. I am going to dive right into it with Olivier and Doron joining. I most of the time I work for an SME, so I am very aware of I would call limitations to start with, but it's like as an SMEs traditionally at best, I store transactional data. I may have some inventory data. How can we identify more data source from within our organization and operation, and therefore make what you're talking about actually valuable or make sense for us to consider the next step, so that we keep talking about enabling decisions with data. How can we get more data to start with? And of course, we know the customers won't just give it to us and for nothing, right? So maybe Olivier and Doron, you want to jump in a little bit to start with that?
So let me kick it off, and Doron, I'll let you
Sure.
the points there too. I think the first thing I'd say is I think one of the beautiful thing about the digital transformation exercise is that we can actually get data also from outside our company. So that's, I think, the first point I would make is we might always think, oh, we need to look at our database or data warehouse first. Of course, you do that, and as Doron mentioned earlier, there are wonderful solutions to build a data lake around it and stream in some of the data points that you already have. But the other thing that I would say is your customer probably lives in other SaaS platforms or in other places where you have third-party data. If you look at some of the services that AWS provides around stuff like Amazon EventBridge, for example, or Amazon AppFlow, which allows you to actually go and grab some of the data points that you have through other SaaS platforms, other third-party providers to enrich the data sets that you have. That is how you really drive, I think, more benefit to your customer, because you might have information around, specifically the transactions they had with your company, but you can also go ahead and, of course, if that is consented and appropriate to according to the privacy laws, be able to enrich that data with additional data points. The other thing that I would say is also sometimes we start. It's okay to kind of make that a certain progress, right? Like you get started off first and you say, okay, let me look at my relational database. Let me look at my transactions, my invoice that I have with a customer. Start off there. And then I slowly start enriching that data over time. Lastly, I would say before heading over to Doron, I think the other interesting thing about going to that more modern application or more modern design is that I can also build in feedback loops in my application, right? And those feedback loops are really interesting to kind of quickly understand if that's valuable data or not. Like if you take the personalization example, if I give you a recommendation of you want to watch that movie, the fact that you watch it or not watch it, or when you watch it, how long you would watch it before dropping off, is an important feedback loop for me to constantly also enrich my data set. So it's not a historical snapshot in time. It's good that I can look back, but it's also the ability to constantly improve that. And I think that's where the point that Doron was making earlier around having a data lake, storing data now is extremely cost effective in AWS. So even though I might think I might not use that data today, how about just store it first so you have it kind of for later on?
Doron, you want to add to that?
Yes, I would like to add something from our experience here. We are facing here, here in Vietnam, there are hundreds of thousands of SMEs. Each one of them is facing a different challenge, and it's in a different industry. And when you are coming to meet SMEs here in Vietnam, the first thing they ask you, are you working with anyone from our industry? And this is very interesting because they see themselves as unique in their industry, and they want to build their uniqueness in their industry. Now, each one of them And it doesn't matter which kind of size of company, they are using different kind of tools today. It can be in a different separate area, as Olivia said. They are already using, it might be Salesforce, it might be any kind of other ERP, it might be any kind of other solution to store their data. So they have different kind. Now, the key for them and the key for us in order to show them the value of the data, how they can get, is to touch one point and to make them a success story immediately, a very quick success story. And this is so important. And this is give the confidence inside the organization and give them the shining that they can do more things with the data and much more things that they can, how they can use it. And sometimes they don't see it, or sometimes they just think it's too small and too neglectable to take care of it. So we can give a very, very quick example of a company that we are doing a major project now, and they are in distribution, and they are having thousands of products, and they believe that only 20 of their products give them like 70% of their revenue. And they said to me, no, we don't need to look at the other product. They don't give us revenue. And then when we look at the other product, we see them that they are much more profitable and they can do much more things in order to bring them much more profitable on those products. So this is only one example.
Yeah, sometimes the visibility may be better once someone's looking at it from a completely different angle. Until the data is organized, there's no way to really know what it is. Now, okay, so that now that we have established that data is important and we should go down that road, but there are obvious uncertainty over business cycles and demands, especially under the new normal living with COVID, you know. How could SMEs make use of technology to make the business more agile? You know, specifically SMEs, where are the opportunities and what's the threat? And maybe Kwa being in the business, been transforming, can give us some insights.
Yeah, sure, happy to. Yeah, so I think as you mentioned, agility is the key for cloud computing, right? So and the perfect example for us is during the COVID time. So we had a lockdown in Vietnam from July to October, so 3 months. So we were forced to close our locations, close our playgrounds, because at that time no one is going to you know, to the mall and to the playgrounds, as well as physical stores, right? And so we have to scale down our system, right? So and being on the cloud, being on the AWS system, we could do it easily. So we have scaled down, I would say 90% of our resource services on the cloud. We just leave our you know, small amount of computing resource to cover the online channels, as well as some back-end operational system, right? So we could reduce the cost during the 3 times of lockdown. I would say to yeah, to 7 to 80% of you know, the cost.
Wow, that is really something. You know, Vu, you have something to add to that about experience with other clients, maybe?
Yes, but I'm seeing Oliver, you want to share something, or?
Yeah, I actually wanted to jump.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that one of the other interesting thing is about forecasting. I think one of the things that we've seen with the ongoing pandemic, I mean, especially certain businesses were heavily affected. Think hospitality, travel, so that was good for downsizing. But take other examples like fast consuming consumer packaged goods or fast moving goods, especially perishable goods. You know, take things like fruits and vegetables that you fly over. One of the interesting things here that I'd say, and in addition to what we talked about data earlier, this is where agility is key. Right, a forecasting model that I had in my Excel sheet based on 10 years worth of data points in the last year pre-pandemic, they're worthless right now because they don't, any forecast there is probably not at all useful right now because it has completely changed. If we look at the entire supply chains globally, they have been dramatically disrupted in the way they operate. Now, those companies that work in logistics or fast moving goods or CPG or whatever, those that were, digitally adopted, looked at data points quickly, used some of the latest machine learning models, which by the way, we get great services in Amazon that can help you with, in AWS. They could quickly reroute their goods, quickly decide, oh, should I ship this out? How do I ship it out? Where is it necessary? Because suddenly if a place goes in lockdown, of course, the consumer patterns completely change. So I think that's another element about when we talk about agility. It's not just, hey, I get something quickly to market, sure, but it's also about I can react to the market much faster and understand how has consumer behavior changed, maybe in the last days, hours, maybe potentially even, and then adjust my logistics around it, which I think is really relevant. And that's not there to go away. I think those companies that were not digital, that didn't use data when the pandemic hit, I think they will be regretful of that. And moving forward, they're probably gonna put a bit more investment into making that happen better.
I like the way that Olivier makes it so easy. But then he touched on the fact that it's about investment, it's about money. As an SMEs, it is a lot of times that's the critical questions to answer. So how are SME really different from bigger enterprises in this digital transformation journey? Is it easier? Is it harder? Is it cheaper? Is it more expensive? How do one get most out of the critical investment? I know Vu is a partner manager, so perhaps you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Winnie. I think it's a very interesting question in terms of when you see not just Vietnam, but in the region and around the world, the SME or SMB business is actually creates the big important how to say portion or a part of the whole economy. And I would like to see like SMB in general as with more advantages in terms of the sometimes uncertain time, because in terms of the size, in terms of the and normally the SMB people we are or you are very how to say fast reacting or proactive respond or predict the market and understand to capture the needs, the understanding the customer very well, very close to the customer. So I see mostly more advantages. However, we can see that the SMB normally, sometimes smaller, maybe some SME bigger, but mostly you need time to focus on the business. So the IT resources, and not only for cloud security, everything linked to that is limited. So you need to rely on to get something easy to go, easy to change, and easy to leverage. So that as SMB, how to say, a demand for and need help from us. And the business of the SMB is in terms of, we mentioned about agility and also how to easily respond to customer needs. So they can change, they can, do absolutely new business up to a few months, something depends on surviving, dependent customer need. So with that, they need help, they need the support. But I'm seeing is in the threats, in the challenges, I'm seeing SMB having such kind of the potential to grow. And especially Vietnam, you see more than 95, our business is linked to SMB, especially in the area I'm living in, like Ho Chi Minh City, commercially very strong and a lot of SMB. So I see we can witness, such kind of moving and changing along.
Yeah, I think SMEs are winning mostly is because of the agility and the ability to turn on a dime. And it is like, I am very close to having a no IT infrastructure operation here for myself. So it's like, I am seeing that the investment should be next in solution rather than in hardware. So we know now that cloud is the obvious next steps for most operations. At least they should think about it, right? So the next thing will be, should we build our own application? Just like Doron having customers saying that, it's like, have you worked for anybody without industry before? We all think a business is so unique on the cloud, or we should just think about adapting or buying packaged solution or the SaaS solution. What's the difference really? I'm coming from a very non-technical point of view, trying to see what it is. Qua obviously has gone all in, using a very systematic approach. But yeah, I want to hear from the experts. It's just like, yeah, are we really ready for a unique solution, or there's something out there for everyone, really? Who wants to tackle? Olivier?
Yeah, let me maybe go first.
Yeah.
I think at one of the slides where I said focus on what's core to your business, and I think that's the way you want to dissect it. So realistically, no company should build the entire landscape. I mean, we established the fact already cloud computing is the new normal. Why would you build your own data center? Now we look at that even one layer up, right? Do you want to build your own CRM system, or are you going to use something like Salesforce or SAP? You're probably going to opt to use a service. And even from an AWS perspective, you can see that we encourage that, and that's where the entire partner ecosystem also comes in. So you might run on AWS and you say, my core part of the business, whatever my specific services that I provide, of course, I want to keep that close. Maybe I develop it in-house, but then I enhance it or enrich it with all these different kind of partner solutions that I might have out there. And that can be a SaaS solution, right? So if you use something like Salesforce, which by the way partners nicely with AWS and actually runs on AWS, but you just consume it as a service, and it nicely ties back into all your APIs and compute layers that you build on your own platform. That's kind of the way you want to think about it. I would always ask myself is, what am I building it just because I need to run my business, or is it something that is specifically that makes my business specifically different to the rest of it? If it's the latter, then I should probably keep it close to me and build it out because it's valuable. If it's not, then I should probably look into the market to have a solution out there that is available to me, to some of the partner network. And from an AWS point of view, we make it super easy. There's a marketplace, click with a few clicks of a button, you have a SaaS system connected to your platform, and off you go. And then you wouldn't need to even deploy it or figure out how do I run it, right? It's automatically run for you.
Is really about timing, right? Qua, would you agree to that?
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't recommend, for example, to build our own ERP system in-house. That would be a no-go. So I would prefer to go with a SaaS service like SAP Cloud or Oracle Cloud, right, for ERP, because this is not our core business. Our core business is our in-center activities and connected to the POS system and promotion and voucher system in e-commerce. But ERP, it's not our core system. So I leave it to the expert to do it, and we just consume the service.
I think that's an interesting standpoint, especially Qua being a CTO, and it is not advocating for building everything themselves, write it all themselves. Like Doron, this brings you into is like as a partner, because this is important that we have all the seamless integration when it comes to solutions and needs and so on, right?
Absolutely. For 99% of the company that we meet, we tell them don't build anything in-house unless it's really related to your core business, and this is your offering to the customers. And it's becoming more and more common. And yes, in some cases there are companies that would like to have their look and feel, or to like to have an application that will be, and today it's so easy to do. So you can build almost everything, hold the backend in so many other tools, and even on AWS, and then you put your own looks and feel and everything. So this is another story. So I would say, on the contrary, don't build anything in-house. You're gonna lose a lot of money and a lot of time, and get you out of your business.
Yeah, I can tell you from experience is don't build anything unless you must have it as a very unique feature for your business. I think that's one great takeaway. I'm very well aware that we're kind of overrunning, but I still want to get one last question in before I let this panel go. What is the one key technology trend impacting SMEs in Southeast Asia? I'm going to expand a little bit. One from each one of you, and how well did the SMEs been adopting that? So it's just like, we don't know. If I'm a starter, I may be thinking of something else, but what's the trend? Should we just start from Let's start from Vu, just following the order of coming on stage today.
Yeah, but I would have on my view later. I would leave like technologies like Olivia first, but I have on my point maybe not the same, but
All right,
take it excited, right?
all right, we
So,
defer to
Olivia, go
Olivier
ahead.
first.
Yeah.
So I think I think we mentioned the word data earlier quite a lot, and I think that is probably what I would lead in with. And obviously that's a very generic word. I think an intelligent use of machine learning, or call it AI, if you must, kind of technologies is really relevant. If you think about like what I said earlier around forecasting, recommendation, personalization, that's not something that is just desirable. It is something that my customer expect. And so from an SME perspective, I would look into, how do I make intelligent use of my data, and how do I use machine learning and AI models around it? And again, to the earlier question, use services that are available to AWS or the partner system that give you these AI and machine learning models, right? To quickly enhance what you're doing, to quickly get access to the same forecasting or personalization models that Amazon.com is using. I think, there would be plenty of other technologies, but I think for an SME, that's kind of what I would say is key right now. If you're not already doing some form of data analysis and some form of machine learning, you probably want to look into it because it gives you a real edge in the market right there.
All right, AI and machine learning. And what Doron wants to take up next?
I tend to agree with Oliver. To get a level of machine learning and AI, you need to go through quite a journey inside the organization, and you need to make sure that you keep the knowledge inside the organization. Plus, of course, make sure that you are doing the right thing with your data and everything. So yes, these are absolutely age technology and things that are becoming more and more common today. And today you can get to it much faster than before.
All right. Well, Kwa, you're in the middle of all of these solutions and whatnot. What is the one trend that you're seeing?
I think for us, so the trend would be in the aspect of DevOps. So for us, Kubernetes, it's one of the a key cloud native system that I see it's trending, and I recommend it to every SMEs who's looking into streamline their operations and for DevOps as well. So Kubernetes is one of the key, I would say.
Right. It's good. Come from a place of experience for sure. So Vu, are you ready to wrap this up?
Yes. Yeah. I'm excited to hear all the opinions, and I agree absolutely, right. But my view is, of course, we should be in the cloud. It's no doubt. It's one thing, and second part is I recommend SMB to look at the SaaS solutions, right? You don't need to build SaaS is trend. And the third one I'm very excited today is blockchain. Not the NFT and the coins, but linked to how you track the the source of your goods, for the health, for products, for everything, or for transactions. I see the huge potential for it. So I would love to see blockchain, going on and up, right? Thanks for that.
All right. Well, perhaps we can gather again in the future and talk about other solutions, because this really is something that we need to spend time on, and the basic understanding of what it is and what's the cost and effect is extremely important. I am very happy to have you guys with me today, and unfortunately we are running out of time, and I would love to have another conversation another time for sure. For the audience, if you have left us a question and we have not been able to get to, we will get back to you later. A video of this webinar will be available in about 48 hours under HKBAV, and most likely under Renova Cloud also. A copy of the presentations will also be available for all the participants, and hopefully you will put it to good use and discussion. And thank you, Kwa, thank you, Mr. Vu, thank you, Olivier, and thank you, Doron, for sharing your thoughts with us. If there is a topic for the audience or for all my speakers, again, you would like to hear at HKBAV, or you're interested in being featured in one of our future webinars, do reach out to us. Well, until then, see you all again in person, hopefully, or on another webinar. And thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.